welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone is well. So before I share my reviews with you for January, I just want to share my 4 bookish goals for 2024, and these goals are really to just help me to focus more on quality more than quantity. So yeah, my first goal is to just enjoy reading, because I think the last year and a half, maybe 2 years, I've just been caught up in trying to read as many books as possible and meeting my reading goal on Goodreads challenge, and I'm over that because I just wasn't enjoying half of the books that I was reading. I wasn't enjoying half of the books that I was reading. So this year I want to get back to just enjoying the reading process, to just enjoy the act of reading, to take my time with the books as I go. What else? Not looking at numbers. So last year I set my reading goal to 50 books. I read more than that, and last year was such a bad reading year for me, because I think the first half of the year, the first half of the year, I hardly read anything. I was just in the fattest reading slump known to man, and I couldn't read anything. So just to have to participate in the reading challenge on Goodreads, I just set this year again for 50, and the next year will be 50. If I read less than 50, that's fine. If I read more than 50, that is also fine. My goal number 2 is to just read more books that I'm interested in. Just that half of the books that I read I didn't like. The books just weren't great to me personally. And I found that why that happens was that I was reading a lot of the book talk recommended books, or all the books that were being hyped, and they just weren't for me. I'm afraid. So I'm going back to not being pressured. Not that I was, but I just wanted to be up to date and be in with what's trending or whatever. I'm just reading books that I'm interested in, because like I said, books that were being recommended on book talk, I DNF'd at least 3/4 of the books that I tried to read. The writing, the quality of the books just weren't great. The writing was poor. A lot of plot holes at the end of the book. A lot of stuff were left unanswered for standalone. Yeah, so I'm just gonna read books that I'm interested in, and that leads me to my next goal, which is to read books off my TBR. I have over 200 books on my TBR, and this year I'm challenging myself to stick to my TBR, because I would love to get that number down. And I get that authors that I read, they're releasing new books, so those will be added, but I'd love to get more off than what's being added. Yeah. My last goal is to read my physical books, telling myself, baby, we got books at home. There are books at home. There are books at the house. I don't know how many books are on the bookshelf behind me, but I have books. The last set of books I bought was in January, and that was for my birthday. Haven't bought any since. So there's that. I want to treat buying books as a reward for myself. So let's say if I read 20 books off my TBR, I can buy 2 books or 5 books. You get what I mean? I have the list of books that I read in January. I think it's 11 books. So yeah, let's get into my January reads. Now, I started off January by finishing The Billionaire Dad series by Nia Authors, and when I tell you, that series was so diverse, it's the most diverse series I've read. And when I say diverse, I actually mean it. All the female characters were black. They were all in interracial relationships. It's really multicultural. You have people from different cultural backgrounds, He had deaf or hearing impaired. I'm not sure which term they prefer to use, but I grew up with deaf. Guys, I'm not like up to date with all the politically correct terms to be using and stuff like that, but we have deaf and plus size individuals. And lately I've just been into like a lot of books, animes, mangas, and just like series K-dramas, because I hardly watch Western dramas anymore because they don't compare. But I've been into a lot of things that's exploring the deaf community. Yeah, so like reading books that had hearing impaired people, it was such a breath of fresh air, you know. Yeah, so like the book was like really diverse. Like there's an Asian family, that family is from Japan. One of the FMCs in one of the books is from Belize. Another one like is from like another like Caribbean country, I think. But everyone just collectively, they are from different cultural backgrounds, and I really like that. Nia Arthur when we can't say her name right. Nia Authors, like she understood what it meant to be diverse. She understood the definition of diversity. Surly Romance is book 2 in the series, and it follows Daryl and Sunny, who we were introduced to in the first book, Grumpy Romance. I must say I didn't read these books in order, so just putting that out there. But yeah, Daryl is a therapist who used to be one of those white collar guys that worked on Wall Street. He no longer does that. And Sunny is an interior designer who has been hired to redecorate a room in Daryl's house for the 2 boys that he now has guardianship of. They met through Daryl's brother-in-law, who's marrying Sunny's best friend, and for whatever reason they just didn't take a liking to each other when they just met. And that has a lot to do with Daryl like on unsolved like issues that he has going on. But navigating death and now being a parent to these 2 preteen boys, he has found that he's leaning on Sunny a bit more, and like they've just gotten closer throughout all of that ordeal that he has been going through. And he has like daddy issues that he needs to work out, you know, the therapist, surprisingly. But yes, like what I liked most about this is seeing Daryl like work through his unsolved trauma to be the person that he thinks Sunny deserves, if that makes sense. Yeah. The second book is Cheeky Romance, and that was book 4 in the series, and it is a friends to lovers romance. It follows Vanya, who is a plus size model, and she has like a gig, there's a shoot in Vegas, and her best friend Hayden flew out to just chill, whatever, be with her because he missed her or whatever. After her shoots finished, like the boat went out, they got drunk, they got married, they did what married people do, and now they're left with a bun in the oven. Aiden is now like working as Vanya's assistant because her assistant had to fly back home to like tend to his mom, who is now in the hospital. And Aiden, though he has like money and stuff, his father is being one of those people that likes to interfere in the child's life. So like he has a racetrack or owns a racetrack, and his father did some stuff to like just prevent him from being the main person to deal with it. So his father basically like cut him off. Like that's what happened. His father cut him off, and he's like, oh, I have money, but have to like go to the bank. And his father is like his father did something to basically freeze his own money that he worked for and whatever. So, you know, he needed to get a job to get money to live. And yeah, he said he just worked for work as Vanya's assistant, seeing that she's going to need someone. And again, with the whole what happened in Vegas, and you know, they really can't ignore it because she's pregnant. They're now forced to accept the fact that they can no longer pretend that they're just friends. Like, I personally think, like, the way how it was written, you could see that they were both like in love with each other, but they just chose to ignore it. So there's that. And Vanya being like a plus size model, she's going to be faced with like stuff, discrimination and all that in the industry. And I like the fact that Adam like he told people off, like, so, like, you can't treat people like this, it doesn't matter, blah blah blah, like, you literally can't treat people like this. 3 was Cocky Romance, and that is actually book 3 in the series, and it follows Dawn, who is a mechanic and has a daughter, and Max, who is just another rich guy that throws money at his younger brother's problems, and he also has daddy issues. Dawn wants nothing to do with Max. She just wants to fix cars and raise her daughter. And Max, being rich and selfish and not really mature, he did everything in his power until Dawn could no longer, like, not give him attention. Like, he basically forced her to give him the attention that he wants. Remember how I said that he basically throws money at his youngest brother's problem? Well, that comes back to bite him in the ass. So there's that. I just realized I haven't been giving him my ratings for these books. Hold on, let me check Goodreads. Okay, so Surly Romance, I gave that 3.25. I gave it 3.25 stars. Cheeky Romance, I gave it 3.75 stars. And Cocky Romance, no, one that I just told you about, I gave it 3.75 stars. It's either 3.5 stars or 3.75 stars. Yeah, the next book is Bossy Romance, and that's book 6 in the series, and I gave that 4.25 stars. And it follows Nova and Adam, and Adam owns like a tech company, and he's known or recognized as a genius investor, and no one at the company really knows that he's the owner or like the CEO, because he hires Nova like almost 10 years ago to be his assistant, or basically his figurehead. So she's the one, like, in the office, she's in the CEO office, she's like she's doing all the day-to-day operations of his business, and she's just up she's about business. But with Nova, like, she's very closed off, and she has her reasons to be very closed off, but it really annoyed me towards the end because some of the things I want to do, it wasn't really called for. She decided to like just resign because she feels as if there's no room for her to grow, or she feels as if she's not doing things on her own because Adam has like literally been there doing everything for her, or he sees her needs and he put things in place for her, and she just feels suffocated basically. And I don't think she realized that Adam actually is in love with her, and that's why he does all that he do. Like, come on. She has a driver, like, he has a driver for her. Like, she doesn't need to take a taxi or the train or public transportation. She doesn't need to do that because Adam provides a driver for her. He pays for her to get her hair done, and you know, as a black woman, like, braids, apparently, especially in the US, getting your hair braided is not cheap. It is not cheap. Like, he pays for all of that for her, and on top of everything that he's paying for her, like, she's still getting her monthly salary, which I'm sure it's like a good chunk because, again, she's basically the CEO, his company, she's running the show. I get why she'd feel suffocated, but she needs to take her head out her ass to realize like people actually care about her, and not everyone is like out to get her or something. Book 5 that I read was Fiery Romance, and that was book 7 in the series, and I gave that 4 stars. Yeah, I gave Fiery Romance 4 stars. And what really made me give it 4 stars was Clay's Kid. Now this book follows, I can't even remember the girl's name. I'm trying to find the name. I can't remember her name. It follows Nova's hairstylist. I can't remember her name, but can't remember her name. And Clay, who, if you've read all the other books, like he's been hinted at or spoken about throughout the series, and the last book was his book, and he has a daughter with his wife who died. Like they were both in the military, and he has a daughter. I think she's black or biracial, and she was adopted. They had 2 kids together, a boy who's like preteen as well, and the little girl, I think she's about 4 or 5. And what happened is that the nanny took her to the FMC's like salon to get her hair done, and the nanny's white, and she was like just talking down. She was basically being racist towards the little kid, just talking about her hair is like, oh, blah blah blah, it's nappy, whatever whatever whatever. And the FMC saw that, and she's like, wait, hold up, I know this is not like what I think is happening. So she said something to the nanny, and then she called one of her friends who like work in child services, whatever, and she was saying like, hey, can you just like do a check? Like she was just asking for a favor to just ensure that everything's all right because of how the nanny was, and she didn't want anything on the record. It was just like, you know, you work there, can you just do me a quick favor, check on this little girl for me? And it ended up, her friend ended up getting it, like doing something to for a whole like investigation to be happening. And for Clay, that's like not the ideal thing that he wants, because his wife's mother, his mother-in-law, has like been trying to get the kids from him since his wife died, and you know, having an open investigation, it's not helping the situation. So since he fired the nanny, he couldn't find a new nanny because he was saying, oh my gosh, like I thought like she was great, whatever. But you know, to him, he just couldn't find anyone, and he basically told FMC that this is your fault. You're gonna need to be my new nanny. And she's like, I can't do that, I have a business to run, I'm very busy, I have clients coming in. She's like opening another branch of her salon, and not opening another branch, no, she has like several franchise, or she have several branches of her salon. And she's like, yeah, I can't do this, like I have stuff to do, like no. And what he did is that he bought the bank that her loan is at for the salon, or the mortgage or whatever, something like that, and he basically held it over her head. So she was like forced to become his new nanny, or like just watch his daughter. And because she has his kid, you know, they have to like interact and whatever, and he liked her fiery personality, like he likes how confident she is. And I think that's one of the reasons why he was really insisting that she take care of his child some weird way. But yeah, it worked out for the best in the end. And then another thing was that FMC, she has a boyfriend, she's in a relationship, an open relationship, and though like it's open, she has never like taken advantages of the open status of the relationship, because she just like, oh, like we've been together for 10 years, like we've had our ups and downs or whatever. But she's just waiting for him to come back from overseas from filming, because he's gonna propose or whatever. And I'm like, girl, be so for real, like you deserve more than this. And then what pissed me off about that entire situation is that he wouldn't call her, or he wouldn't reply to her messages. And I'm like, it's basically out of sight, out of mind for him. Like, you're not there. He doesn't really care about you. And the moment like she started to realize that like she's worth more, and she started like seeing Clay, that's when my guy wants to come back and like, oh, like, will you marry me? I'm like, dude, like, get a grip. And it took her so long to realize her worth. Like, it took her way too long to realize her worth. But yeah, that's that. 4 stars. 4 stars for that one. The next book is Totally Pucked by Lauren Blakely. I gave this 2 stars. I was being kind when I gave it 2 stars. I thought I was going in with like a novel, but it was actually a novella. And when I got this book, I actually thought I was getting double pucked or whatever, but it wasn't. And honestly, I read this book and it just never makes sense to me. It did not make sense to me. So 2 stars for me being kind. It doesn't even deserve the 2 stars, but whatever. The next book is Lethal Vows by T.L. Smith and Kia Carrington Russell. T.L. Smith has been a author on my list to read for a while, and when I saw that like one of her books was actually on Kindle Unlimited, like I was like, you know what, why not? It was a dark romance, dark mafia romance, and with this, the couple, they were in an arranged marriage and they met like when they were like 16. I would say he's probably 18 or something like that. And the moment she could, she left Italy and went to New York. Why did I say Italy like that? She left Italy and went to New York because she's like, I do not want to be in a arranged marriage. And unbeknownst to her, the guy followed her, like, so he knew where she was at all times. And when he finally decided to like physically be a part of her life, he did not stop asking her to marry him, because like from the first time they met, he liked her, but at the same time she didn't know that he was the guy that she was being arranged to marry. I hope I said that right. But yeah, he kept asking her to marry him, and she's like, yo, stop asking me to marry you. So he did just that, and he just like he just took her to the altar and she shot him in the foot. She shot him to like get away from him, because like it's like, this is madness. This is actually madness. Like, you can't force someone to marry you. And what goes on in the world of mafia people that happen, can't really give anything else without giving it away. But I gave it, I gave it 3.75 stars. Gave it 3.75 stars or 4 stars. The next book was is Teach Me by Cassandra Dare, and that was a historical romance, and it follows Elizabeth, who's a viscountess, and she's been widowed for 3 years, and she's just curious about erotic pleasure. So she went to a brothel to like ask the madam to like teach her everything that there is to know about erotic pleasure. And the madam of the brothel actually like said to this earl, that she has a surprise for him, and the surprise being Elizabeth. And he's like, oh, he's bored, might as well. So he teaches her about erotic pleasure. And while going through, why am I smacking my tongue? While going through the stuff on their syllabus, like, they realize they like each other, having conversations outside of what's again on the syllabus. They enjoy each other's company, and he fell in love with her, and I enjoyed it. But like right off the bat, it was just, yeah. And I gave it 4 stars. The book that I read was Wild Scottish Night, and this book is by Trisha O'Malley, and it's about this girl. Her name's Sophie McKnight. She lives in California. Her uncle passed and he left her a castle in Scotland, and like some stuff hit the fan for her. She realized her man is absolute trash. So she decides to, take some time off her, because all she's done is work. So take some time off work, went to Scotland to see what this castle is, because her plan was to just study and come back. But when she got there, the caretaker is Lachlan and someone else, well, he's not really a caretaker, but one of the caretakers I think is there, and like he was really and truly giving her a hard time, because to him the castle was bought and the owner just like never showed up, like didn't show any interest in caring for the castle. So he just gave her the cold shoulder until they realized that the stories that Sophie uncle would tell her as a child, like about like magic and all that stuff, that they're actually true. And she's a part of this order, and she's the knight, so she's like the protector and some stuff like that, and she needs to become a knight in order to like restart the order or something like that, and while she's there, like she's made new friends, because this girl did just have one friend in the States. She's made new friends now, and she just wants to do everything in her power to help them. So she started training to become a knight, and it's Lachlan who needs to train her to become a knight. While she accepts that, you know, okay, what they're saying might be true, what I'm not might be true, what they're saying, like there's merit to it, because there's stuff that's happening that has no other explanation. And Lachlan, on the other hand, he's just living in a state of denial, even though like his mother was a part of the order before she died. And the reason why he's living in a state of denial is because of how his mother died. Like there's like some kelpies and stuff like that involved, and she drowned and whatever. But yeah, I gave that one, I gave it 3 stars. 3.25 stars, I think. Book 10 was Never Marry Your Brother's Best Friend by Lauren Landish. And this one follows, I'm trying to get the name. Can't remember the name of the female character, but the male character is Carter. It's a fake marriage. And what happened is that Carter works at his family's investment, I want to say account management company, and he has a client who's like looking for a new account manager, because he's looking for like a new account manager for her portfolio, because the one that she has, like he's old, like he's her friend, they're both like old and stuff like that. So she wanted someone who's like family oriented and, you know, just chill and whatever. So his best friend suggested that he like talks to his sister about tutoring him in stuff relating to art, because she's an artist, she studied art at university. And while she was like tutoring him, like nothing was sticking, and he joked about like, oh, like if only she was the wife and whatever. And he said some stuff to the client, and that accidentally slipped that he like has a wife or a fiance or something. And it turns out that his client, her husband that passed, was like this famous artist, and the paintings his paintings are all in the house. And just saying, like, he was like, if you do this, you can get to see his work. And that's how the fake relationship started. And you know, what fake relationship ended up becoming true, whatever. But yeah, I gave this 3 stars because it's just 4 stars, maybe 3.75 stars. There was just certain things about it that I didn't like, but it was like an enjoyable read, because like that old lady, the client, she was such a character. The last book is Saving Vienna by Vicky J. And this book, I started it in December last year, and I DNF'd it because, again, I was reading slump. I think I just couldn't read anything, and then it got me again on TikTok. And while reading, I realized like, wait, isn't this the book that I DNF'd? And I made it through it. My problem with this book is that the writing is poor. The writing is poor. Like, the plot had quality, but the writing was just poor. I enjoyed it nonetheless. And Saving Vienna is about a woman who, like, she's been diagnosed with like a brain tumor. And you know, with brain tumor, it kind of causes like some symptoms of it is like blacking out or just fainting or whatever. And she passed out on the guy's car. I think his name is Zane. Yeah, she basically passed out on his car, and like he took her to the hospital because she hit her head. Was it that? She hit her head or something like that. Wow. She hit her head. So he took her to the hospital, and that's how she was diagnosed with like a brain tumor, and he pretended to be her husband because she does not have insurance. And but they like each other. They like each other, and they got married because insurance reasons. And he was just with her because she has no family, so he was just with her like through the whole process of her having surgery and getting treatment. And it was cute, but the writing could have been better, and I gave that 3 stars because the writing really sucked. The writing really sucked. Yeah, I gave it 3 stars because the writing really sucked. The writing was just not that great. But apart from that, the plot was good. And that is all the books that I read in January. Read 11 books in January. So thank you guys for watching if you've made it this far. Also, this is the second time I've recorded this video. I did it earlier today, but the sun was just doing the most. The sun was doing the most. I decided to just reshoot it before I even transfer the footages from the SD card to go and edit it. But thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video when I talk about my February reads. Bye.